go. I'm burning up, hot flashes got me sweating like a sauna. Body feeling different, odor creeping like a drama. Clock hits 3, wide awake insomnia.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Pause Talk. This is a segment of What the Pause, where we will slow down and I will have guests, real women, not your celebrities. These are the women that make an impact on society, on our careers, and role models for other women and our daughters and such. So, we're going to talk about the truth about menopause through the eyes of real women. This is not a brochure version, and nor is it a 5-minute visit with your doctor. Okay, so sit back with us for the next 25 minutes as we discuss Jenn's menopause journey. So, with you, Jenn, thanks so much for being here on Pause Talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to chat with you today, Amalia.
Excellent. So, Jenn is a colleague, a former colleague of mine. We used to teach at the same college. And now she's going to talk a little bit about herself, about her age, and what she does for a living currently.
Yeah, so I am 51 years old and I work as a commercialization consultant in the consumer packaged goods industry. I really help organizations go from where they are to where they want to be through project management, change management, and coaching as well.
Excellent, Jenn. Thank you so much. And I know as a project manager, some of these projects can be very complex, especially when we don't want to feel like doing anything, right?
Correct. Correct.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to go right into it. We're
Yep.
going to have this conversation, and I hope everybody out there can relate to that. And so we're going to go right into it. Jenn, before menopause entered the picture, what did life look like for you?
Yeah, I was always the most organized and well-prepared person in the room. I was known for multitasking, being able to juggle multiple priorities. And I mean, really, that was the crux of my business model, was being able to get things done. And I would say 4 or 5 years ago, I really started to notice just a really marked change in my energy levels, my mental attitude. And I think it was a combination of sometimes just not feeling motivated to get things done, but also really questioning if I even still had the mental capacity to get things done. So that was, again, 4 or 5 years ago, I really started to notice a shift.
Yes. So we're talking about the 45-year-old mark, right?
That would be correct.
That is a very special number for a lot of us because I know when I first, the fatigue, oh my goodness, it was debilitating for me. The brain fog, I know for a lot of women too. And it started at the 44, 45-year-old range. And if I had known about this 10 years ago,
Yep.
right, ladies? I know we're all thinking the same in terms of, oh, why didn't my doctor tell us in our 40s this is going to happen? Why are we learning about this in our 50s? And definitely not from our mothers, for some of us. Anyway.
Correct.
All right, let's continue. So I know you talked about the fatigue and everything, and you talked about, you're a very organized person. Those project managers, definitely we need to be that. You're also a mother to 2 teenagers as well. And how old are your teens?
18 and 21.
Oh,
So they're
wow.
really, they're young adults.
They're young adults. They're aged out of that one, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're an empty nester?
Yeah, they come back and forth. But yes, we're transitioning into that empty nest. And I think probably the other thing too to note is that, my partner and I have aging parents now too. So we really are in this sort of transitional space. It's not just physically what I'm going through, but our lives are changing significantly while we're launching these children and developing a different relationship with our parents.
That is so, so true. We're the sandwich generation, where our mothers did it and now it's our turn. And it's not really fun, especially when we're going through such a stage and change that we weren't prepared for.
Correct.
So when you were going through this, and I know for myself and for others out there, kids are basically looking at me, Mom, why are you sleeping all the time? What's wrong with you? Why can't you remember anything? What was it like? What was the hardest part explaining what you were feeling to either your partner, your kids, or other people?
it was hard for me to even talk about it. I think my kids just rely on me as mom. They don't necessarily think of me as uh, a whole person, and I don't think that that's unusual. So I mean, I really didn't engage with them. With my partner, he's a busy professional, and how much do you want to bog your partner down with some of these discussions and points, and you really, I think for me, I had a hard time talking to anyone about it. I really internalized a lot of it and said, what is wrong with me, and why can't I fix this, because I'm a bit of a fixer. So
Yes.
that's really was the struggle, or the conflict for me.
That's very interesting because a lot of people kind of feel, okay, so you have to keep on top of everybody. You have to show yourself to others as being, um, we don't like the term superwoman, but we tend to try and
We
be that
embrace
person.
it.
We embrace it, exactly. And we embrace that better than we would menopause.
Yeah.
It's basically something that's been ingrained, that we've learned from our mothers. We've seen it. And it's something that I know for myself. I told my daughters what was going on. I know they're only 14 and 16, but they're going to remember, why was mommy going a little bit crazy? Why was she very fatigued? Why is she not liking people anymore? And
Right.
it's kind of like a transformation in that, right? And I
Yeah.
explained it to them too, that this is a time that all women go through, right?
Yeah.
Every single one of us. And I just want to make sure that they're aware, and they figure, oh dear, we just started puberty, mom. How can we have all of this in our household? And I said, well, you're not the only ones, right? There's many more of us, having children later on in lives and getting to menopause earlier, actually. It's
Mhm.
really interesting. And that's the story of mine I will do in a future episode. But it's hard to explain to other people.
Yeah.
But it's so glad that you have a supportive partner.
I have an extremely supportive partner, and it's been interesting him sort of learning on this journey as well. He often comments to me that if men had half of these problems, the medical community might take this a little more seriously than we often feel.
Oh,
But as
yes.
women, it's still very much, it's shocking to me on this journey how much the medical community has had to sort of eat a little humble pie and say, we think this, but we actually don't know, because we actually haven't done the research, or we actually haven't, dove into this topic. And you're thinking, well, this impacts 1 out of 2 people,
Yes, it does.
right?
Yes, it does. And it's so true, where it's many women, and I know for myself included, when I went to my doctor to say what is going on, I was 43, 44 years old, and I was getting a little depressed because I didn't have that support, right? I was going through a divorce. So the first thing she
Double
was
whammy.
yes, double whammy, exactly, Jen. So of course she throws me on antidepressants first.
Mm,
And I know you and I have talked about that before,
yeah.
but it's something where now I advocate for women over 40, do not go the antidepressant route. Let's get that HRT route happening now.
Yep.
So I know, because I know if we started that earlier, if I started that earlier, I still would have been divorced. It's just that I would have been more calm about the entire situation, right? So let's continue,
Mhm.
okay? So in terms of emotions,
Mm,
when we have PMS, I know your daughter went through this too, I'm sure, when PMSing, it's like, oh my God, the sky is falling and the world is terrible.
Yeah.
And I just want to eat everything out of the pantry. Okay. When it came to perimenopause, what was the emotions like for you?
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the more surprising things. Was I, through my adulthood, really didn't experience much in terms of PMS symptoms. I really didn't have difficult periods. But what I will say is, about 5 years ago, at the age of 45, I did notice extreme PMS symptoms. I would often feel, I would get up in the morning and think, what is wrong with me today? Total feeling of despair, total feeling of lack of motivation. That might persist for a day or two. And then I would enter my cycle and I would be like, oh,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
this is different. And then my cycles became a lot more difficult as well. You would have probably put me in a light category before. That really changed at the age of 45, 46, where I understood why some women choose not to leave their house on,
Yes.
certain days of the month. And again, that was a really big departure from what I had previously experienced.
Absolutely. And it is, and it's funny because you don't have any PMS. There's, you're lucky. But yeah, and then when we
Yeah.
hit perimenopause, it's basically, oh, what is this? This is the exact opposite of what I had all my life, right? So I'm definitely sure, like, one of the big emotions for many women I've been speaking to lately is the rage.
Mm.
And I know, being European background, I know for me being Greek, and it's kind of like, yeah, rage is, I lived with that in the wrong context, however. But then I started just out of nowhere. It was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of situation. And I'm finding a lot of women in their 40s saying, I don't understand where this rage is coming from. And that was the first sign for me. It was the rage. Yeah. So, but continue.
Rage really hasn't been, I haven't experienced it too much. I occasionally go on a rant.
Yes, don't we all?
People in my life are kind of used to these little Jenn rants, and then I kind of calm myself down a little. But the rage is something I've commonly heard from peers and friends. I feel fortunate that I haven't experienced that too much, I don't think, but it's that internalization and the self-doubt, which can be really crippling, especially when you work as a freelancer, right? Where your
Yes.
professional career depends on you being able to constantly network, present yourself in a really professional way, and have that confidence. And when you're not feeling it, that can be really hard to fake.
Exactly. Confidence. That is one factor that I find a lot of women over 40 start to feel, okay, where is it? Why am I all of a sudden being treated a different way at work or by my clients? Or am I the same person as, yesterday? Like you said, we wake up, we don't know who we're going to be that day, right? So it's basically, and then slap on everything else that comes into play, your kids, your partner, day to day responsibilities. And yeah, it's amazing. And that definitely support is one of the biggest things, one of the reasons why I do what I do. But I have to ask you this question, because I know when I'm going through this, I grieved the confidence that I had lost. But now I'm regaining it. But it took 7 years to regain. So I want to ask you this. Did you grieve anything about the person that you used to be?
Yeah, and this is going to sound probably a little strange. I grieved the capacity I used to have. So I used to be able to go and deliver. And I really tied my net worth to my ability to produce and results.
Yes.
And so that is something that I think I have, for the most part, successfully kind of grieved. And now that I'm in my 50s, I feel that, and this has been a reset. This was not something that I just was able to do right off, but I'm going to replace that capacity with my experience, right? So I don't necessarily have to produce as much. I can take a different approach, but produce something that is quality and do it in a way that aligns with my new energy level, right? So I may not be able to push stuff out 8-9 hours a day, and that's okay. I need to manage my energy and produce to a new reset capacity level.
That's an amazing way to say it, reset. Because like we mentioned before, we try to be super women, and it's no longer realistic, especially when we hit this phase. And it's okay to give ourselves permission to, lower our load, right? Focus on the stuff that really excites you, and hope you can profit off of. And then, and it's okay allowing ourselves to give that permission to not take so much on, because why would we? At this point of our lives, who are we proving to ourselves, right? We're proving nothing to anybody else. And we don't have to prove to ourselves. We just have to make sure that when we are facilitating or executing, that our capacity is manageable and that we're not burning out, because it's a huge thing too. Perimenopause or menopause and burning out do not equate very well, let me tell you. it is not a good combination.
No. And I think the one thing I would recommend to anyone who's having to go through this process and do a little reset and has noticed a change in the energy level is take some time and pay attention to when are those peak hours for you that you can produce. So for me personally, it's first thing in the morning. So I now know if I have a difficult or arduous task or something that's going to take my focus and it's important, it's the first thing I do in the morning.
Perfect.
Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's just, and that might not be for everyone. Some people, they may still have that peak energy level mid afternoon, or maybe it's in the evening.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah.
finding that rhythm throughout your day to say, okay, I'm going to save these activities or these tasks for this period of time when I know I can push it out and I have focus and I have the energy. And then, you know what, on those sort of off-peak times, that's maybe when you set aside time for errands or you set aside time to go for a walk, right? It's just finding a rhythm to your day so that you're optimizing.
These are great hints, honestly, because you want to optimize, but you do not want to burn out in the interim. And having scheduling time for yourself is so important. And I know, and we'll talk about how you are now in terms of what you're doing now to feel better and to have that confidence back and what what your long term vision would be. Because I know we've all experienced craziness with our doctors, and I know I have, and they're getting a lot better now, but it's not enough. It is absolutely not enough. And we talked about lack of training from doctors, and doctors only receive 2 to 3 hours of menopause training in their entire medical training and schooling. So they're in school for 15 years, internships, all that stuff. And then, so you only know about us for like 2 hours. That this is really great, So it just amazes me. But I also think there's a lot more to it than that. And in the United States, it's becoming a business now. It's becoming menopause is something to control over women about not getting the right supports. Luckily in Canada, we do have the right supports, but they're not necessarily perfect either, right? So Jenn, let's tell the folks out here in terms of your first visit with your doctor when you actually were talking about these symptoms.
Yeah, so I pride myself on, being low maintenance. So I really didn't even go to the doctor with any of my concerns until about a year ago. And really, I was experiencing a whole bunch of other symptoms that were quite problematic, really due to my cycle. I think there's a myth. There's a myth out there that, and I do think it's a myth, that as you're transitioning, you're getting less frequent menstrual cycles. That is not always the case. So some of us experience abnormal uterine bleeding, which means we are bleeding much more frequently.
Yes.
And that can lead to a host of other issues related to the genitourinary symptoms of menopause. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I hope I did.
We know what you're talking about, Jenn.
Right. So I went to see my family doctor only when it was quite extreme. Like I really probably should have even been at my family doctor maybe a few months before that. If I was being really honest, probably 5 years before that.
Wow.
So at the time that I went, I would say my family doctor was super supportive. I felt heard, but I had some pretty extreme symptoms that needed to be reviewed by an OBGYN. Okay. And that's where I thought I would get great menopause support. That was not the case for me. I felt incredibly dismissed and undervalued. And, I think when we go into these waiting rooms and there's people there that are trying to get pregnant, are pregnant, they're dealing with lots of other diverse types of medical needs, maybe that 51-year-old woman is deprioritized a little bit, but I didn't feel heard. So, I, thank goodness, did get some tests done, got some other issues sort of ruled out and soldiered on for a fair bit.
Yeah.
on my own.
Oh, yes.
I went down some different paths, tried talking to a naturopath. I know many people have great experiences. I don't think it wasn't. I know it wasn't the right path for me. And in the end, I was able to sort of circle back to my family doctor and start on HRT, and been a wonderful support. But I think we also have to recognize that family doctors are dealing with a very wide array of patients and challenges, whether it's vaccinating a newborn child to administering a memory assessment on a geriatric individual, to strep throat, right? So my family doctor, I want to say, has been very supportive. But, I think that to your point, there's so little education out there.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. So I guess this is what made you look outside the traditional medical system. So what made you decide to work with a coach like me?
What made me decide? So I want to be respectful. My family doctor, yes, he can write me a prescription.
Of course.
But, he doesn't have an hour to chat with me about my perimenopause, menopause transition. It's just, that's not the model of the practice. Naturopath, again, I assessed it really wasn't a great fit for me. Many of my peers are on TikTok or Instagram, and quite frankly, I find those channels overwhelming. They're completely overwhelming. You're often getting conflicting information.
Absolutely.
It's not customized. Many people will talk to friends and peers. My menopause symptoms are actually quite unique. And that's one of the things that I've kind of learned on this journey, is that it's not identical for every woman or every individual. So sometimes you're talking to your girlfriends, which can feel like, oh, this is a really safe space. I'm going to feel normalized, right? I'm going to feel normalized. Yeah. And if your symptoms are unique or different, or you're not experiencing the same things, you can actually have the opposite effect. You can essentially start to feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me, right? There's something wrong with me. So for me, I was just feeling overwhelmed by all of it. I knew that I needed to make some changes, and having a one-on-one coach who I trusted, someone I knew, someone I trusted, someone who could talk me through some very practical tactics on how to manage this change of life, for me, was invaluable.
Oh, thank you, Jen. Oh, thank you so much for that.
So good.
Seriously.
Such a good experience.
And a great experience working with you. And it's, I can see from her first call with me online, and even seeing her in person. I haven't seen her since convocation we were at last year. And I can even tell the difference. She looks amazing. She's glowing. She's glowing. And I love the fact, I wish I could be like you, Jen, in terms of prioritizing everything in the morning, because I'm such a night owl. But I really do hope, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, because this is so vital, and we don't hear from everyday people and professional women too. So this is what makes this particular Pause Talk chat so unique for me. And thank you again. So we're coming to the part of my Pause Talk segment where it's what we call the fun rapid fire round. Okay. So for those of us who don't know what rapid fire is, I'm going to give Jen options. No overthinking, just pick one, this or that. And we're going to hear what she has to say to these. And so let's have some fun, Jen. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. So you're going to look right into the camera with your answer. All right. So no overthinking. Just pick one.
Okay.
Would you rather have a hot flash in the grocery store or night sweats that wreck your sleep?
Haven't had either.
She is called a unicorn. Oh, I love it. And if you can see my little Pepper in the background right behind Jen, that is our cat. And I asked him specifically not to come into the shot, but he's here. Okay. All right. Number 2, Jen. Forgetting why you walked into the room or calling someone by the wrong name?
Both.
I love it. Coffee that loves you in the morning but hates you later, or wine that betrays you instantly?
Wine that betrays me instantly.
Seriously, like I can't drink a whole glass anymore because I get stomach issues. You guys the same? Crying at commercials or laughing at things that aren't even funny?
Crying at commercials.
Oh my goodness. I think I've been starting to do that since I got my period. Okay, my girls do that too now. All right, I love this one. Canceling plans with zero guilt or going out and leaving early?
Going out and leaving early.
Oh, I'm canceling plans, man. All right. Leggings everywhere or jeans only when necessary?
Leggings everywhere. I'm wearing them right now.
And so am I. All right. 7, a quiet night at home or being social, but on your own terms?
Quiet night at home.
Don't we love that?
That'll win every time.
Every time. So are you on a Google spiral at 2 a.m. or are you pretending everything is fine until morning?
I pretend everything is fine until morning.
I do both. Okay, I doom scroll and then I pretend everything is fine. But all right, here's another one.
Okay.
Being blunt or being nice but exhausted?
Being blunt.
Excellent. That's what we're here for, ladies. Anybody over the age of 45, we can be as blunt as we want with no excuses. All right. And my friends who know me, who work with me, know that I can be as blunt as possible. But last one.
Okay.
Feeling calm but boring or feeling chaotic but like yourself?
Calm but boring.
All right. We love that. Calm but boring. Awesome. Well, that concludes our rapid fire round and our interview for today. So thank you again, Jenn, for being my first guest on the Pause Talk segment of my What the Pause podcast. And I want everybody to know that if you really enjoyed this and it resonated with you, please subscribe or make a comment and reach out. And again, Jenn, I want to thank you so much. Give me a big hug. I'm a hugger, as you know.
Thank you, Amalia.
You're very welcome. And thank you guys for watching and hanging in there. In the meantime, I want you to be well, be safe, and embrace the pause. See you next time.
Take care.
Yo, I'm burning up, hot flashes got me sweating like a sauna, body feeling different, odor creeping like a drama, clock hits 3, wide awake insomnia, got me stressed, mirror shows dry skin, used to glow, now it's a mess, achy joints, back stiff, tailbone hurts too, trying to stay fly, but the scooper making moves, 1 minute I'm chill, next I'm seeing red, these mood swings got me tripping, messing with my head, I go through all these symptoms, do you go through it too? Is it just me or you riding this wave too? We gaining